Next, we're going to be taking a look at neural filters in Photoshop. So the neural filters are a newer workspace that was introduced a few years ago, and it's using all AI technology in order to do some different types of photo manipulation techniques. So with these images here that are being supplied for this week for the neural filters, we can apply all of the different effects to all of the images. They're just simply different images to give you some different ideas of what can be done. So the neural filters are a filter. And as we kind of discussed last week, whenever we are using any of the filters, it's really important that before we apply a filter that we are always converting for smart filters first. So that's the first step with all of these images that we will be looking at. So we want to convert for smart filters. Again, that will convert our image over to a smart object. The next step is to go into the neural filter gallery. So this is very user-friendly space. It's essentially just exploring different things that you can do within Photoshop. With all of these neural filters, they are all working off of the cloud. So depending on the space on your computer, they could lag you a little bit. They all have to be downloaded and to be utilized. So we won't be looking at each one, but again, you can kind of explore these on your own. So the first one here, I'm showing you the Smart Portrait. So we're going to download this filter first. And with the Smart Portrait, actually, sorry, I wanted to look at the style transfer for this one. So let's go into style transfer. So we're going to download style transfer for the first example. And I mean, I could use the Smart Portrait, but we're going to do style transfer first. So style transfer, what this does is you can essentially apply different artistic styles to an image. You can also use custom images as well or image styles. So you can apply basically different types of effects or compositions or colors to an image. So let's say I choose this one here. It's processing. So again, some of these take a couple of minutes to apply depending on their complexity. Okay, so it's applied this effect to my image. I can also go in and change some of these properties, the strength, the style opacity, the detail, the brightness, the saturation, and that essentially is what the style transfer does. So you can explore these on your own. Really interesting, cool kind of stuff, really user-friendly that we can work with. So I'm going to press OK. And because I'm using the filters, the smart filters, I have my layer mask here that I could maybe edit if I needed to, or turn it off if I didn't want to use it anymore. Go back to the neural filters, change my effect if I want to. So again, making sure that it is converted over to a smart object really makes my life a little bit easier in the long run. So that's the first one. The second example here is the colorization effect. So again, I'm converting for smart filters first, and then going back to the neural filter gallery. So with the colorize, essentially what we can do is apply color to a black and white photograph. It works pretty well. Obviously, you can't bring back color the way it exactly is back in time, but it does do a pretty good job of adding in color to black and white photographs. So it's pretty cool. It does it automatically. As soon as this filter is downloaded, it will automatically apply the color to it, which is pretty interesting. Okay, there it is. And again, I can go in and play with some of these properties here in order to control how I want my color looking. So it works pretty good overall. Okay, so that's that one there. Let's go to the next option here, which is number 3. Number 3 and number 4 are using the same neural filter, which is the Smart Portrait. So for this one here, again, we want to convert this to Smart Filters. And we're going to go back to NeuralFilters. Okay. And here we are going to turn on the Smart Portrait. So you can see with all of the ones that I've already downloaded, you can turn them on and off. So these are already off, so I can turn them on. This just helps with the effectiveness of the program running essentially from the cloud. So if I turn that on with the Smart Portrait, you can do just interesting things like changing someone's happiness level, changing their age, their hair thickness, their eye direction, their facial expressions. So it's a pretty interesting effect. Some of them work a little bit well or not as well as others. It's still processing, and it's generating all new pixels. So all this is all new information that it's inputting in your file. So that's why it's all this AI technology that it's being utilized. And that is essentially what I did with the next example, which I won't show or go through, which is essentially just changing the facial age. So with the facial age, you can't make someone that is a senior look like a child or vice versa, but you can alter their age by maybe 10, 15 years or so if you really wanted to. So that is the Smart Portrait. The last option is the makeup transfer. Okay, so here, for example, number 5, this is one image and this is another image here. So if I wanted to apply this makeup to this image here, I can do that with this specific neural filter. So again, we're going to convert for Smart Filters, go into our filter gallery. Sorry, not our filter gallery. Go into our neural filter gallery. Okay, so this one we want to use the makeup transfer. Okay, so this one here we need to select a reference image, which is what I supplied. So we are going to choose the makeup image for our reference, which is this one here. And it does it for you. As you can see, there's not really many options here that I have that I can change. It's basically, this is what we have. So I can press OK. I mean, it's done its job, but that is why we have the mask here in order to make better edits or better adjustments. So obviously one eye looks darker than the other. So I can use my mask now to go in and edit this effect. So using my brush, again, set to black. Maybe I'll bring my opacity down a little bit. I can start painting using a hard brush. Let me make that softer. I can start painting in certain areas, and I can hide some of the neural filter effect where maybe it's not doing any justice to my image. Okay, so let's say the eye there, just trying to make them look a little bit more symmetrical, or maybe around the lips where it's looking a little bit off. I can go in and just refine that edge just a little bit more. So these are just, they're really interesting. It's interesting to know how they work, what you can do with them that can add to your Photoshop knowledge. And that is working with the neural filters.